She said, "Surprise. It's from my ex. I just didn't know the gift was my freedom." Wrapped in the same lies she used to call love. I turned 30 last week. Not a milestone I'd planned to celebrate, just dinner, a few friends, maybe some whiskey. But Jess, my girlfriend of 2 years, insisted on throwing me a small surprise party. She used my apartment, my food, my whiskey, and somehow filled the place with people I'd never met. Half of them were her coworkers, the other half her influencer friends, all filming everything like it was a live event. When she handed me the perfectly wrapped blue box with a silver bow, everyone circled around like it was a proposal. "Open it," she said, eyes glinting with something I couldn't read. I peeled the paper slowly, smiling for the cameras. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Surprise. Not from me. From my ex. He cares about you more than I do." Winking face. Laughter rippled through the crowd until I opened the box. Red lace lingerie. Size XS. Her size. Inside a small white card. Room 412. 8 p.m. where only this. "Can't wait to have you back." The laughter stopped. Phones lowered. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." I looked at Jess. Her smile was frozen, lips trembling like she'd just been caught mid-lie. "So," I said quietly, "this is the surprise?" She blinked fast, trying to laugh it off. "You're overreacting." "Really?" I said, setting the box on the table. "Because it's 8:40, and it looks like you're late for your date." The silence after that was the loudest birthday gift I've ever received. The box was still sitting on the table, the red lace draped across the lid like a crime scene ribbon. Jess lunged for it, her voice trembling but sharp. "Can we talk in private?" "No," I said, steady but cold. "Everyone's already seen it. Why hide now?" The room was silent except for the faint hum of my refrigerator and a few uncomfortable coughs. One of her coworkers, a tall guy with a half-empty champagne glass, muttered, "Damn, this is awkward," before slipping toward the door. I asked the question I already knew the answer to. "How did he even know my address, Jess?" Silence. Then her best friend, Ava, looked down and whispered, "Jess, you told him, right?" Jess shot her a death glare, but it was too late. The damage was done. I nodded slowly, my throat tight with anger but my voice calm. Everyone out. Party's over. Chairs scraped. People moved fast, avoiding eye contact. The air was heavy with embarrassment, not mine, but hers. Jess tried to protest, grabbing my arm. "You can't just kick everyone out. This is my night too." "Your night," I said, laughing once, short and bitter. "You made that clear when you invited him to it." When the door finally closed and we were alone, the tears started. Crocodile tears, practiced and theatrical. "You can't kick me out," she sobbed. "I live here." "No," I said. "You stay here. There's a difference. The lease is in my name, and you've officially overstayed your welcome." I walked past her to the bedroom, ignoring the muffled sounds of her crying in the living room. Every sob was perfectly timed, like she was performing for an invisible camera. That night, I did what I always do when something feels unreal. I documented it. Photographed the text, the lingerie, the note, even the torn wrapping paper on my floor. Then I emailed it all to myself, time-stamped and backed up. Not because I wanted revenge, at least not yet, but because I've learned that people like Jess rewrite history when it suits them. By midnight, the apartment was quiet except for her hiccuping sobs. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, staring at that number. Finally, I pressed call. A man's voice answered on the second ring. Smooth, confident, like someone who'd never been caught. "Hey baby, you on your way?" I took a breath. "No, this is her boyfriend." There was a pause, a single second of silence, then a click. Call ended. I texted him immediately. "You can have her. Comes with drama, lies, and an eviction notice." No response. Just that empty, gray delivered. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. I sat by the window, watching the city lights blur into dawn while Jess cried in the other room. Not from guilt, but from fear. Fear of losing the comfort she'd built on my dime. The image she'd curated of being the perfect girlfriend. Every now and then, she'd come out of the bedroom, makeup streaked down her face, whispering, "Please, we can fix this." I'd just look at her, expressionless. We? There's no we left, Jess. By morning, she was quiet. She'd stopped crying, stopped speaking. Just sat there on the edge of the couch, staring at the floor, like a child caught stealing. I made coffee, 2 mugs out of habit. Then I poured one down the sink. When I finally left for work, she asked softly, "Are you really ending it over one mistake?" I didn't even turn around. It wasn't one mistake, Jess. It was a pattern I was too stupid to see. Her voice cracked. "What do you mean?" I paused at the door, looked back at her. And in that moment, I saw it. The flicker of calculation behind her eyes. She wasn't sorry. She was planning her next move. That's when I knew. This wasn't going to end quietly, and I wasn't going to let her write the story this time. The morning after the party was eerily quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm, when everything is still wet, broken, and pretending to be calm. Jess sat at the kitchen table, still wearing last night's mascara, staring at her coffee but not drinking it. The lingerie box was gone. I knew she'd hidden it somewhere. Denial needed props. When she finally spoke, her voice was hoarse. "It wasn't what you think." I didn't look up from my mug. "Then explain it to me." She swallowed hard, eyes darting everywhere but mine. It just got out of hand." "How long?" I asked. A long pause. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, "Couple months." We ran into each other at a coffee shop. Started texting. Just catching up. When did it stop being just texting? That broke her. The tears came fast, like she'd been holding them in all night. 5, maybe 6 times, she sobbed. "But he means nothing to me. I swear." I leaned back, arms crossed. "Except enough to buy lingerie and book a hotel room. Sounds meaningful to me." She slammed her hand on the table. "You don't get it. You're always working. Always on your computer." I wanted to feel alive again. "Yeah," I said quietly, "and I wanted to feel respected." We both missed the mark. She looked at me like I was supposed to comfort her, like her pain somehow outranked mine. That was Jess in a nutshell. Every bad thing she did became someone else's fault. I stood up and grabbed my keys. "You have 3 days to move out." Her eyes went wide. "You can't kick me out. I live here." "You stay here," I corrected. "And only because I let you. The lease, the bills, everything. It's all in my name." 3 days, Jess. "I'll even help you find movers if you act like an adult about it." She didn't. Instead, she called her mom right in front of me, speaker on, voice trembling for effect. "Mom, he's kicking me out." From the phone, a woman's voice thundered, "You can't throw my daughter out like garbage." "Good morning, Mrs. Taylor," I said evenly. "Your daughter's been paying rent at her old apartment while living here for free. She's not homeless, just dishonest." "You're cruel," her mom barked. "After everything she's done for you?" "I think we're both aware she's done quite a lot for other people too," I said, glancing at Jess. The line went dead. Jess stared at me, shaking, then grabbed the nearest thing. A picture frame with a photo of us from last Christmas, and hurled it. It hit the wall beside my head, glass shattering across the floor. "You ruined us," she screamed. I didn't flinch. "No, Jess, you just got caught." For a moment, she stood there breathing hard, chest heaving, eyes wild. Then her expression shifted. Not remorse, but realization. The performance wasn't working anymore. "I'll tell people you hit me," she whispered. That stopped me cold. "Excuse me?" She looked me dead in the eye. "You shoved me last night when you kicked everyone out. I can say I have bruises." "Go ahead," I said, pulling out my phone. "Everything's on camera. Building security, Ring doorbell, even the hallway. Want to add perjury to your list of hobbies?" She froze. I watched her lips part, then close again, like the words died before leaving her mouth. The bluff had failed, and we both knew it. I left her sitting there, shaking in her seat, and went to the bedroom to start boxing up her things. Methodical, calm, clinical. If she wanted a scene, I wouldn't give her one. By the afternoon, she'd shifted tactics. Soft voice. Apologies that sounded like scripts. I didn't mean for it to happen. I just got lost. Please, don't end it like this. End what? I asked. Whatever we had died the moment you invited him into it. That night, I slept in the guest room with the door locked. I could hear her pacing, crying, talking on the phone to someone. Probably him, maybe Ava. Around midnight, her voice cracked through the wall. He's throwing me out like trash. And maybe that was the first honest thing she'd said in weeks. Because by morning, all that was left of us was trash. Torn wrapping paper, broken glass, cold coffee, and a red lace lie folded neatly in the corner of the couch. 3 days later, the apartment felt lighter, quieter, cleaner. Her perfume had faded, and for the first time in months, I could actually breathe. But peace never lasts long with people like Jess. It started with Venmo notifications. Jess Taylor has requested $300 for utilities. Jess Taylor has requested $200 for emotional distress. I stared at my phone in disbelief. Emotional distress. The same woman who cheated on me, humiliated me, and threw a picture frame at my head was now billing me for her feelings. I ignored them, of course, but she didn't stop. Every few hours, another request, $50 for gas, $100 for therapy, $25 for cleaning supplies I bought for your apartment. It was almost funny in a deranged way. Almost. Then came the screenshots. Ava, her best friend, the same one who'd accidentally exposed Jess at the party, sent them to me late one night with the message, "You should see what she's saying." In the group chat, Jess was painting herself as a victim. He threw me out with no warning, said I was disgusting and worthless, threatened to ruin my life. Ava, to her credit, replied, "Jess, I was there. He didn't threaten you. He didn't even raise his voice." That's when Jess replied with a line that perfectly summarized her logic. "Doesn't matter what's true. People believe what you tell them first." I read that sentence 3 times. Cold calculation disguised as heartbreak. That was Jess' reputation over reality, image over integrity. I didn't respond to Ava, just thanked her for the heads up. The next day, things escalated. Jess showed up at my building's front door, screaming into the intercom, "You can't do this to me. I deserve my things." I went downstairs but didn't open the door. "You took your things, Jess. Everything left is mine." "Then why are you keeping my TV and my laptop?" she yelled, loud enough for the security guard to step closer. "Because they're mine," I said calmly. "Receipts say so. Want to see?" That just set her off. She started hitting the glass, tears and mascara streaking down her face. The guard called management and they called the police. By the time the officers arrived, she'd switched tactics again. Sobbing, clutching her purse like a wounded child. "He locked me out illegally. He took my stuff." The officer, a middle-aged man with the patience of a saint, asked for details. "What items, ma'am?" "My TV, my laptop, my kitchen stuff." I invited him upstairs, opened my file cabinet, and handed him receipts. Dated months before Jess and I ever met. Best Buy, March 2020. Apple Store, May 2021. Serial numbers matching the items in my apartment. The cop flipped through them slowly, then looked at her. "Ma'am, these are his. You'll need to leave the premises." Jess's voice cracked. "He's lying. He's faking everything." The officer sighed. "Ms. Taylor, if you continue making false reports, you could be charged with filing a fraudulent claim. My advice? Walk away before this gets worse." She glared at me through the glass as they escorted her out. "You'll regret this." The officer turned to me before leaving. "She seems unstable. Keep documenting everything." So I did. That night, I created a folder on my desktop and labeled it evidence. All caps. Inside, I made subfolders. Texts, photos, voicemails, police reports. I uploaded screenshots of every Venmo request, every false accusation, every unhinged message she sent at 3 a.m. It became my nightly ritual, not out of paranoia, but preparation. Because when someone's entire personality is built on control, losing it turns them dangerous. And Jess was spiraling fast. Within days, she'd weaponized social media. A carefully crafted post appeared on her Instagram. "Ladies, beware of men who love control more than love. I left an emotionally abusive relationship, and now he's trying to destroy me." Her followers, mostly her coworkers and yoga classmates, flooded the comments with sympathy. "You're so strong. Proud of you for speaking your truth." But the truth had receipts, and I had all of them. I stayed silent. No posts, no rebuttals, no subtweets. Just screenshots. Because silence unnerves people like Jess. It's power they can't manipulate. Every lie she told made my case stronger. Every dramatic post gave me another piece of evidence. By the end of the week, I had a digital dossier of her deceit, neat, organized, time-stamped. And somewhere deep down, I already knew. She wasn't done yet. This wasn't just heartbreak anymore. It was war, and I was going to win it with facts, not fury. By the time the hearing came around, I wasn't even angry anymore, just exhausted. A month of chaos had burned the fury right out of me. What was left was focus. Jess, on the other hand, was still performing like the world was her audience. She arrived at the courthouse with her mother in tow and a lawyer who looked like he'd been hired from a coupon ad. Jess wore all beige, hair tied back, no makeup, the universal costume for victim of emotional abuse. Her mom looked ready to burst into tears on command. My lawyer, Andrea, leaned over to me as they entered. "She's going for the sympathy angle," she whispered. Classic. Jess didn't even look at me when she sat down, just whispered something to her attorney, who nodded solemnly like this was a murder trial and not a restraining order hearing. The judge entered, older man, calm, the kind who's seen every possible version of this story. He glanced through the preliminary file, then looked up. "Ms. Taylor, you understand why we're here?" Jess straightened her back. "Yes, Your Honor. I'm here because my ex is harassing me and trying to control me through false accusations." Andrea didn't even blink. She simply opened her folder and waited. The judge nodded. "All right, let's review the evidence." Jess's lawyer launched into his speech. Lots of words like toxic relationship, emotional manipulation, power imbalance. He made it sound like I'd held her hostage instead of politely asking her to vacate an apartment she never paid for. Then the judge asked, "Did you contact the petitioner after he told you not to?" Jess hesitated. "I just wanted closure." "Yes or no, Ms. Taylor?" She sighed. "Yes, but did you contact him from multiple phone numbers?" Another pause. "Maybe 1 or 2 times, just to—" "Records show 8 numbers, Ms. Taylor," the judge interrupted. "Did you also show up at his workplace on March 17th and again on March 24th? Her face went pale. "Only once." Andrea slid a packet across the table. "Your Honor, Exhibit B, 2 separate security videos from his office lobby, time-stamped, showing Ms. Taylor attempting to enter." The judge flipped through the stills, glanced at Jess, and sighed. "Records say twice." Jess opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her lawyer started fidgeting with his pen. Andrea stood, calm and precise. "Additionally, Your Honor, we have evidence of online harassment, defamatory posts, messages to his employer, and false police reports about stolen property. All documented." She handed over the folder, thick, organized, everything labeled down to the minute. The judge skimmed through screenshots of her Venmo requests, the fake theft report, the texts where she threatened to ruin my life. When he finally looked up, he didn't look angry, just disappointed. "Ms. Taylor, this isn't a breakup issue. This is a pattern of harassment." Jess tried to speak, voice trembling. "But he—" "No," the judge said firmly, cutting her off. "He documented everything. You contacted him repeatedly after being told not to. You filed a false report. You escalated this, not him." Her mother suddenly stood up, pointing at me. "He's lying. He ruined my daughter's life." The bailiff took a step forward, but the judge just raised a hand. "Ma'am, sit down. Your daughter's life was not ruined by him. She did that herself. Silence. The gavel came down. Restraining order granted. 1 year. No contact, no approach, no digital communication. Violation will result in immediate arrest. Jess's head dropped into her hands. Her mother hissed something under her breath that sounded like, monster. But I barely heard it. I was too busy breathing again for the first time in weeks. Outside the courtroom, they cornered me by the elevator. Her mom's face was red, eyes wild. You traumatized her. She can't sleep, can't eat. Good, I said evenly. Maybe therapy will help her learn what boundaries are. Andrea put a hand on my shoulder. Let's go before they try something else. As we walked out into the sunlight, it finally felt over. The courthouse doors shut behind us like the final click of a lock. A week later, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Jess's spiral hadn't stopped. Her ex, the one from the hotel, had dumped her after finding out about the police report. Her friends had backed away one by one. Even her job let her go after 3 no-shows and a disruptive incident in the lobby. I didn't celebrate, didn't post, didn't gloat. I just archived the folder labeled evidence and renamed it closure. Sometimes justice doesn't come from vengeance or rage. It comes from silence, patience, and receipts. And I had plenty of those. 6 months later, silence has become the most expensive thing I own, and the only thing I truly value. My apartment doesn't echo anymore. It breathes. The walls are a new color, slate gray instead of the soft beige Jess picked, because it photographs well. The couch is new too. I sold the old one after realizing it still smelled faintly of her perfume, no matter how many times I cleaned it. Now everything in my home feels chosen, not shared, not compromised. My work's been steady. I got promoted a month ago, partly because my boss said he'd never seen someone handle personal chaos with that much calm. I didn't tell him calm was just what happens when you stop expecting fairness from people. And then there's Amy. She's a project manager at work. Quiet confidence, dry sense of humor, doesn't post her life online. She was the one who brought me coffee the morning after the restraining order hearing. No agenda, no pity, just a small kindness I didn't know I needed. It started slow, lunch breaks, conversations about everything but the past. And somehow, 6 months later, she's the calm after a hurricane I didn't think I'd survive. She knows the whole story, not the dramatic, edited for friends version. The truth, messy and unfiltered. The lies, the public humiliation, the police report, the courtroom silence. She listened without trying to fix it. Just nodded, then said, "That's rough, but you're still here." We joke now about boundaries, red flags, even birthdays. She told me once, half smiling, "No wrapped gifts for you, huh?" I laughed. "Only if they come with a gift receipt." It's strange how healing sneaks in quietly, like new paint drying. Unnoticed until one day, you realize the whole room looks different. Last week, I got a reminder of the old storm. A new Instagram account followed me, no profile picture, 0 posts. But the username? It used her old email format. Same pattern she'd used for years, just rearranged slightly. I didn't panic, didn't rant. I just screenshotted it, forwarded it to Andrea, and went about my day. An hour later, the account was gone, like a ghost realizing it wasn't welcome anymore. That's the thing about people like Jess. They crave reactions. Silence is their kryptonite. Friends still ask if I regret anything. The relationship, the drama, the court case. The answer's always the same. Not a thing. Because regret implies I could have learned the lesson another way. Couldn't. I needed to see what manipulation looks like when it's smiling across a birthday cake. I needed to feel the sting of betrayal in front of a crowd just to understand that real love doesn't humiliate you for applause. She cheated. She lied. She stalked. She tried to burn down my life and still found a way to call herself the victim. But every single consequence she's living now, the isolation, the whispers, the jobs she keeps losing, she built herself, brick by brick. Justice doesn't always wear a robe. Sometimes it's just time doing its quiet work. This year, my birthday will be different. No parties, no fake smiles, Just a few close friends, a dinner I actually want, and no cameras. When the day comes, maybe Amy will bring a small gift. Probably something practical, a book, a bottle of whiskey. Maybe she'll say, "Surprise," just to tease. And I'll laugh, because I finally can. If life ever tries to whisper surprise again, I'll listen differently. Not with suspicion, but with awareness that surprises can be endings, too. Some gifts are wrapped in ribbons. Others come disguised as ruin. But every now and then, you need the wrong gift to recognize what's real. I used to think that night, the ruined birthday, the text, the red lace humiliation, was the worst moment of my life. Now I see it for what it really was. The moment my story stopped belonging to someone else's lie. The moment the mask fell off for good. And for the first time in a long time, I'm finally celebrating something real. Not her absence, not revenge. Just peace.